am Christy from Ventures at ISTEM. I am a middle school teacher, and I've been teaching middle school science for over 20 years. And I've been successfully flipping my class for almost 10 years now. Today, I want to talk about how to help those struggling students. We had a lot of them this last year, right? It was a crazy year that happened in the classroom. We're going to have even more, I predict, this upcoming year, because a lot of students are coming in lacking the skills they would have normally gotten from a typical school year, right? So what can we do? Well, let's first talk about, well, why do students struggle? So some students feel overwhelmed. They see all the stuff that they have to do and they just think, oh my gosh, it's way too difficult. It's way too difficult. They feel like they're trying to push a boulder up the hill, right? A giant boulder up the hill, and they just don't see how it's possible. So for them, they're just so overwhelmed. They don't see how it's possible. And so they struggle with even getting that first start. Then you have students who are bored. Now, maybe they're bored because they're not challenged, or perhaps they're bored because they're using that as a coping mechanism, a coping skill, when they see assignments, tasks that seem to them are too challenging. To them, they would rather not even attempt it than try. So to them, their boredom, being bored, again, it could be for those that aren't being challenged, but a lot of times it's for those that simply don't even want to attempt it. They don't want to try because to them, it's just way out of their reach. Then they could be lacking the resources. Now, maybe it's technology resources. Perhaps they don't have a device at home, or their internet doesn't work, or it doesn't work that well. Maybe they're missing stuff that they would have in the classroom. The simple things like a pencil, paper, a backpack. So they're lacking these resources. Perhaps their basic needs aren't met. Sometimes students come to school and they're hungry. The last time they ate might have been the last day at school. Or they might be cold. Maybe they don't have a good jacket at home and it is freezing outside. So they might be lacking those basic needs that if they don't even have those basic needs taken care of, there's no way they can concentrate in the task that they're supposed to do in school. And then the environment outside of school. For some students, they're going through a lot at home, and maybe home is not a safe place, or maybe they're dealing with a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, a lot of things that we're not aware of. And so all that's going on in their head, and there is absolutely no space for them to take in any more information. So what do we do? Again, it's going to depend on why our students are struggling to tackle that. So first, let's talk about that environment outside of school. Again, for some people, it's not a safe place. So what can you do? You can get to know your students. Build those strong relationships with your students. We all know that students that feel more connected to a certain teacher, to a school, are going to do better. So get to know your students. Find out what is going on. Find out about what they like to do at home, what their environment is like. Look into counseling and look into an adult for extra support. These students, if they're going through a lot of things at home, maybe they're being bullied outside. Maybe their parents are going through a divorce. Maybe someone in their family, a close relative, just recently died, right? They've got a lot of stuff going on and they're going to need outside support and help to manage the emotions and help them go on and move through and process everything that's happening, right? Make sure school is a safe place for them. For many students, school is the only safe place. And so during that pandemic, when we were teaching and students had to be at home, right? That was super difficult for many students. Some students' home was not a safe place. They lost their one safe place they had. So as we head into our new year, making sure that the students are blatantly aware, because you might know that school is a safe place, but maybe the students are not aware of that. So making sure that the students are fully aware that school is a safe place. I'm gonna go ahead and modify something really quick, if I can. Oh, it's not gonna let me. I was trying to bring down the lighting. Let me bring down the lighting a little bit. Is that better? I think that's better. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about meeting those basic needs, right? We all know, right, that students cannot engage in learning if their basic needs are not met. So we need to meet those. Now, that might be enrolling them in that free breakfast or lunch program. Most schools have some type of program like that. So it's making sure that the parents are aware that their child can get breakfast and lunch. Now, that means they're not getting all the food, but at least while they're at school, they're getting their tummies filled. Talk to a school counselor. See what else you could do to help meet those child's basic needs. Maybe they need a place to stay. Maybe they're living in the car. Maybe they lost their home. They need a shelter to be in, right? So making sure, again, those basic needs. Talk to nonprofits. If clothing is what is needed, right? There's lots of nonprofits out there that can provide the jackets, the gloves, the hats. They can provide new shoes, a backpack. They can provide the school supplies that child needs. So making sure, again, that you're going and talk to your counselor, school counselor, talk to your administrator, find out what resources are available to help meet those child's needs. Lacking resources is another one. So how do we help those students? Well, provide the basic school supplies. I know at my school, we provide the students with their notebooks they're gonna need, the binders they're gonna need. We have pencils for them. We have paper for them. Sometimes we have backpacks. We have a company that comes in and they provide backpacks for the students. I also look at donation centers, and I have a donation center that a nonprofit that works with me to give me school supplies that I can then pass out to my students, whether it's Post-it notes, rulers, calculators. Talk to the different groups that are out there and make sure that the fact that they don't have a pencil doesn't prevent them from learning. And think about what is more important. And those teachers that sit there and say, oh, I don't lend out pencils and everything, you know, they have to like give them. What's more important? That the student feels safe to ask you to get a pencil to use that in your classroom, or that they're going to have to do something, give up something just to get a pencil? It's a pencil, right? Have them ready to go. Again, talk to nonprofits. Donation centers get stuff, and just ask them, hey, you know, any pencils that come in, could you put them aside for me for my school so I can give them to my students? Most of them will have no problem doing that. Provide a place at school where they get the resources. So like if they don't have technology at home, a lot of my students, even before the pandemic, before we were doing that, I would say about 30% of my students did not have a computer or access to technology at home. They didn't have a smartphone. Not everyone does, I know, but not everyone does. If they had a computer or a PlayStation or something like that, there was no internet to go with it. So they had no way of accessing stuff. They had no way of doing their work. Or some students do have a smartphone and they're doing all their school on their smartphone. I don't know about you, but if you have ever tried to, on your phone, work in a Google Doc or a Google Slide, it takes forever. It's very challenging to do. Yes, you can do it, and many of our students do. But wouldn't it be better if there was a place at school where they could get on a Chromebook, get on a computer, get their work done? They could get everything done within half the time that it would take them to do it on their smartphones, right? So provide a place at school. We have a library and computer lab. Students can come in the morning, during lunch, and after school, where they can drop in anytime and use the technology. So make sure there's something like that. Also, perhaps loan them a device or a hotspot. I know that happened a lot this year, this previous year, right? We had to teach from home. The students had to have the technology. So a lot of schools got grants and they got money for technology, specifically for technology. Well, all that technology is not gone. We now have the ability to, in the new year coming, provide those students, once again, those that do need a Chromebook, those that do need a hotspot, we have them already. We've already purchased them. Let's use that now this new year. Let's lend them out again. Let the students sign out so that way, again, they are being supported. That's a hurdle they don't have to worry about. How about our bored students, right? If they're bored because they're not being challenged, perhaps offer them student choice. Having students choose what they're going to work on, how they're going to work on it, how they're going to present it, puts the power into them. They take more ownership. They're no longer being told what to learn, how to learn. Instead, they are choosing it. Now, you might have to, say, okay, from this, choose these different things, and you might have to differentiate your choice. Even if you just offer them two choices, would you like to watch the video or would you like to do the reading? Or would you like to do both? Would you like to present with a Google slide, present with a video, or build something? Offering students the choice to choose how they're going to do something puts, again, the ownership on them, and they'll take more pride because now it's their choice. They feel more empowered. Also, bring in their interests. Find out what they're interested in and see if you can connect it. So for example, when I teach force is one of my favorite units to teach. And it's because I get to bring in tons of student interest. We get to learn Newton's 3 laws through sports. I have the students choose a sport that they like to play, that they like to watch, and we talk about what makes a sport. So they can choose golf, basketball, gymnastics, tennis, swimming. They can choose all those different ones, any type of sport they like, they're interested in. Now, I do have some students who are like, I'm not interested in a sport. So then they can come up with another choice. Okay, well, how would you like to introduce Newton's laws this way? What do you think that you can use, right? Bring in their interest, because if they're interested in it, they're going to do a whole lot better. Also, let them learn at their pace. Again, many times students are bored because they feel like it's too challenging and they don't even want to try in the first place. If you let them go at their own pace, like with the flipped lessons, right? With a flipped lesson using the flipped classroom, they can then watch the videos at their own pace. They're not feeling overwhelmed anymore. They're going to get a foundation of the skills and the concepts they need, but they get to watch it at their own pace. So if they know a lot, they can, go through the video pretty quickly and take just the notes that they're still unsure about. If they're struggling though, they can slowly go through the video. They can watch it a few times if they need to. They can write down the information. They can write down questions they still have and they're unsure about, but now they're feeling more in charge of their learning. They come in more confident into your classroom the next day because now they're not afraid of tackling whatever activity you have for them because they already have that basic understanding that they need. And that brings me to the last one. What do we do with these students that are feeling overwhelmed? Again, let them learn at their own pace. They're feeling overwhelmed because they feel like they have so much to tackle that there's just no way they can get through it, right? And when you do a lecture in the classroom and you're presenting and you're going through the notes and you're showing them everything that needs to be done and you're talking and they're trying to figure out, okay, what's on the board? Do I need to write down? What is she saying or what is he saying? And they're just like, I lost that one. What was that? But they don't want to raise their hand because they are afraid. They're fearful that if they raise their hand in front of all their friends might know that they're struggling. and they don't want their friends to know they're struggling, right? They don't want their friends to know that they're having difficulty, that they would wish the teacher would slow down, that they wish the teacher would repeat that. They don't want their friends to know that all of a sudden, because of maybe a learning disability, they lost focus and they started thinking about something else, and now they're back and they're like, what was the last slide? They just lost all that, but they don't want anyone to know. When you use the flipped lessons, they're doing all this at home. They don't have to worry about asking the teacher, hey, can you repeat that? Can you slow down? Because they're in charge of it. All they have to do is pause the video, rewind the video. If they're watching a little segment, make your segments only like 30 seconds to 1 minute, right? Make a little segment and then have the video stop and ask them a question, because then they can keep that focused for that 1 minute. That's okay, they can do that. And if they did check out, if they got interrupted, someone came in, they can just rewatch that video. They don't have to worry about it. Then they have all the notes. So it makes that boulder that they're trying to push up the top of the mountain, it takes that boulder and it just makes it super, super small. And now it's like, oh, well, I can do this. That's not that hard at all. I can push that one up. That's a small boulder. Also offer added support. One of the great things about the flipped lessons is that when they come in the classroom, right, you're going to be able to better support them, because you can have that individualized questions, attentions, conversations with the students. You're not spending your time lecturing. Instead, when you're in the class the next day, you're getting them involved in activities, discussions, and you can go over and help the students that you know are struggling. You can ask them, questions about the videos, ask them where they got stuck, ask them, what they needed. You could ask them a few questions about the videos to gauge where they are, right? So you're going to be able to give them that extra added support. Also, help them by breaking up the content into manageable pieces. That means, again, chunking things down. So in a video, have that video between 3 to 7 minutes long, not any longer, right? And within that 3 to 7 minute long video, chunk it up every minute to minute and a half at the most, throw in a break, ask a question, put in a comment, have them remind them to take notes on the key points, breaking it up by the content. And then in class, chunk up your activity. Don't give them 10 different directions to follow at once. Have the directions on the board. If they're going to be doing an investigation next, right? They're going to investigate something. Give them the directions, but give them one direction at a time. Let them absorb that direction, then give them the next one. Let them absorb that direction, give them the next one, right? Maybe breaking it up so that they're working on an activity, and then after about 5-10 minutes, you're stopping and you're having them talk to other people and collaborate, and they're discussing their findings, but break it up, make it into manageable pieces. Also, help them create small goals for themselves that they can then check off to feel accomplished. Goal setting, we're not talking about these big goals. We're talking about basic, small goals. So maybe at the end of the day, there's gonna be a flip lesson at night, right? Have them write a goal. I will watch the video. I will take notes during the video. I will answer the questions during the video, after the video. I will come to class with one question that I want to know or one clarifying question. Have them write those 4 things down. Those are 4 goals that they're going to accomplish that night for homework. So that way, watch the video, check. Took notes, check. Did the formative quiz afterwards to check my understanding, check. Have a question ready to go, check. Now they can go back and they can look at it and be like, oh my gosh, I just accomplished 4 things. If I can accomplish those 4 things, imagine what else I can do. So by giving them small little goals, little check-offs that they can do, and have them write it, have them figure out, okay, maybe pull the class. All right, guys, you have a flip lesson tonight. What are you going to do? What are the things that you have to accomplish? Let's write them out. Put a little box next to it, and then they'll be able to check it off. So again, give them those little goals, making it so that they can see there's a headway they're going. They have a place to go, right? There's the roadmap, and they can check it off as they go, and that's going to help them. So again, students struggle for many reasons. And we can help them by building relationships with our students, by having those small little conversations. And doing the flipped classroom model, again, helps with allowing us to have more individual conversations with our students in class. Getting their needs met, making sure that they're not hungry, making sure that they have the clothing that's appropriate for that time of year, and allowing them to learn at their own pace with flipped lessons. So if you would like to learn more about the flipped classroom, about flipped lessons, about how you can use flipped lessons to help your struggling students, go ahead and check out my free flipped classroom guide, and also send me a message. DM me on Facebook, on Instagram, send me a message, ask me a question, put one in the comments. What do you want to know? What are you working on? Where are you at in your flipped lesson journey? Where are you at in helping your students? I would love to hear more from you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching another Adventures in ISTEM and Beyond video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more Adventures in ISTEM and Beyond videos. For more ideas on how to incorporate science, technology, and skills for life into your classroom, go to adventuresinistem.com.